The day a quiet village broke. Ernst Wagner was not known as a violent man. He was educated, articulate, and worked as a teacher. In his community, he represented order, discipline, and respectability. Nothing about his public role suggested what would eventually happen. A man of status and control, Wagner valued structure and authority. He believed in rules, hierarchy, and personal discipline. His position gave him influence, and influence reinforced his sense of superiority. Control became central to his identity. Private obsession. Beneath the surface, Wagner lived with intense inner conflict. Paranoia, resentment, and obsessive thoughts grew over time. These thoughts were hidden carefully, protected by outward normality and professional respect. Isolation behind respectability. Although surrounded by people, Wagner was emotionally isolated. His inner world was disconnected from those around him. No one was invited into his private thoughts. Silence became containment. The building pressure. Over time, Wagner's internal tension intensified. Perceived slights became personal attacks. Ordinary interactions were reinterpreted as threats. Reality slowly bent around his inner narrative. The failure to intervene. Warning signs existed, but they were subtle. Changes in behavior, shifts in mood, growing rigidity. In a culture that respected authority figures, these signs did not trigger intervention. The night before. In the hours leading up to the event, Wagner appeared calm. There was no visible breakdown. The absence of outward chaos made what followed even more incomprehensible. The first act. Violence erupted suddenly and without warning. What had been contained internally for years was released in a matter of moments. Shock spread faster than understanding. A community unprepared. The village had no framework to comprehend what was happening. Trust collapsed instantly. Familiar spaces turned into scenes of panic, confusion, and fear. Information was fragmented. Rumors replaced facts. People struggled to understand how someone they knew could commit such acts. The scale becomes clear. As events unfolded, the extent of the violence emerged gradually. The realization that this was deliberate, not accidental, deepened the shock. The role of authority. Wagner's position complicated response. Authority had masked instability. Respect had replaced scrutiny. A break from reality. Investigators would later identify a complete collapse of Wagner's connection to reality. His internal logic no longer aligned with the external world. The moment that defined everything. In a short span of time, Wagner destroyed not only lives, but the sense of safety within the community. A case that shattered assumptions. This was not violence born from chaos or poverty. It came from within a respected structure. That made it harder to accept and harder to prevent. The questions begin. How did no one see this coming? How could respectability hide such instability? These questions would haunt the case long after the violence ended. The response and containment. Once the immediate danger was contained, authorities faced the task of understanding what had happened. The shock was still fresh. and information was incomplete. Securing the area came before explanation. An investigation without simple answers. Investigators quickly realized this was not a spontaneous outburst. Evidence pointed to long-term psychological deterioration. Notes, writings, and testimony revealed a mind consumed by delusion and grievance. The role of paranoia. Experts identified severe paranoia as a central factor. Wagner believed he was persecuted and humiliated by others. These beliefs were not momentary. They had developed slowly, unchecked, and unchallenged. A collapse years in the making. The violence was not the beginning of the story. It was the end of a long internal collapse. Each unaddressed thought reinforced the next. Reality had been rewritten privately long before it was acted upon publicly. Psychiatric evaluation. Medical assessments concluded that Wagner was deeply mentally ill at the time of the attack. His actions were driven by delusion rather than rational intent. Understanding this did not reduce the harm, but it reframed responsibility. Legal consequences. The case moved away from traditional criminal proceedings and toward psychiatric custody. The law recognized that punishment alone could not address the nature of the act. A community traumatized. The village struggled to recover. Trust was broken. Familiar places carried new meaning. The sense of safety that once defined daily life was permanently altered. Grief and silence. Public discussion faded, replaced by private mourning. Survivors carried unanswered questions. Closure proved elusive. Lessons about authority. Wagner's case exposed how authority and respect can delay scrutiny. Warning signs are easier to miss when they appear behind professional status. The danger of unquestioned respect. Respectability created distance. It discouraged intervention. It allowed instability to deepen unnoticed. Why this case matters. This story is a reminder that violence does not always come from the margins. It can emerge from positions of trust, structure, and power. A warning for institutions. Institutions must balance respect with accountability. Titles and roles cannot replace observation and care. Final thoughts. Ernst Wagner did not act in secrecy. He acted after years of silent deterioration. His case remains a warning about what can happen when authority shields instability and when early signs are left unaddressed.